Hello again, it's Garson, and we're going to dive right in with 4 new subclasses that I ran in an honor mode run. That's right. So on difficulty, we ran the honor set, single save file, everything, no mods, no multi-classing, just how do they do 12 levels leveling up in their own new subclasses. We do have the Swarmkeeper Ranger, the College of Glamour Bard, the Oath of the Crown Paladin, and the Bladesinger Wizard. Maybe not in that order, but we're going to bust out some notes, and if you're new to the channel, I welcome you. This was actually from a recording, or not really recording, a live stream where I ran all 4 new subclasses. This is actually run number 2, so I do have 2 full playlists of running them, and you can actually see in this current run, you can see my thoughts evolving as we play along, right? Now, a big thank you to anybody watching, obviously those in stream and chat, and hopefully you can live a little vicariously through me as I play patch 8, get you excited about the new subclasses. But really what we're doing today is just a lot of talking, so I apologize in advance. Go figure, I talk a lot on my channel. But today's video is going to be a lot about talking about how I rate and what the results were for this run, how I feel about, you know, the new patch 8 subclasses that I tested, 4 of these guys in an honor mode run. I don't do exploits and whatnot, but we'll get into the rules and goals or whatnot and see how I rate them personally. And what about run 3? What am I running next? Okay, if you're just now tuning in, this is run 2, like I said, and so patch 8 is going to bring 1 new subclass to every class in Baldur's Gate 3, right? So this is really cool because it's a totally free update. Hopefully they can get this out to you guys soon, but in the meantime, I was able to get the stress test thanks to you guys. I've been testing for bugs, but also playing through the game, no mods, no multi-classing, to see, based on 5e D&D official subclasses, these new subclasses, how well do they do with the stress test? Things are subject to change. Do they feel great to play? Are they balanced? Are they actually good, and this and that, right? There's no real emphasis on the bestest subclass, the newest broken OP stuff. What I'm trying to do is just see like how these perform in a run and maybe what their potential might be, right? And they did actually, for things, I should say patch 8 is subject to change, right? Because this is sort of a beta or a stress test, early access to see if anything did have changes. There was a balance change like midway to a few things that I ran in this run, so you know this is literally subject to change. Things may change when this comes out to you is all I'm saying, right? But again, there's 8 new subclasses. We've now run in honor mode fully 100%, right? So there'll be 4 more to go, but this run is going to cover the new Bard, Wizard, Paladin, and Ranger, and I have a lot to talk about. I'll try and keep it in some key points and keep you on focus to how I rate and run these, what the whole point of this was, okay? So plus it was fun to, you know, play the new subclasses. Okay, so the run and the rules that I usually set up, and I'll give you some goals of what we're going to talk about today with this run. So I usually say, hey, this is the stress test run. We're going to do run 2 Electric Boogaloo. Here's my rules. So we're not going to use anything other than the new subclasses. There's no multi-classing because we want to see these things, how do they complement their own class kits, right? The kits of the class, the tools of the class. There's no mods because we're also trying to do the stress test, so we're seeing if anything, mods don't interfere with how things should work, if I could sniff out bugs or whatever. And I really skip through a lot of the story elements. I don't really play this game for, you know, the role playing, the story. It's there for flavor for me. I don't hate it, nothing against it, but I'm just kind of zipping through and playing the video game, and I'm not really here for challenge. I usually challenge myself, like no scrolls, maybe no thieving or something, but this was a more standard run through honor mode, okay? So I respec as needed if I felt like I goofed up, but I don't usually respec, just something I throw out there, right? I like to play the character 1 to 12 and see if I can map it out. It's really fun for me. And I did try to sniff out some bugs. There may have been some stuff, but we're not going to talk about it today. It was an objective, but for you, this is more about, I'm going to talk about the ratings results, right? So have fun was a big objective. Did I have fun with these? It's always a goal of mine to list on running honor mode. I put it up on stream and chat and say, hey, remember, who cares about the rest of these rules, right? Let's have some fun. But unless it doesn't get in the way, then we're good, right? And test photo mode. Oh yeah, we tested photo mode. Unfortunately, this isn't going to be the video for snapshots, but okay. And this is a work in progress, subject to change. I tell everybody at the beginning of the run. So, okay. The overall goal for us in this video, right? While I ran these rules, the whole point of it is there any issues or bugs if they occurred? Sure, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the subclasses. So I'm gonna try and focus. It's hard for me, trust me. I know I'm a talker. There's 5 key points I want to try and go over with each one of these, okay? And keep in mind with ratings, I'm not the authority on Baldur's Gate 3. It's kind of funny to just talk about a video game this much, but I do. I love it, and I enjoy it, and I'm glad there's a channel I can provide content for people who also enjoy this stuff. So here's where I'm coming from. I do not go to external sites or watch a lot of other media on Baldur's Gate 3, surprisingly enough. I kind of get a lot of my information from just running the game. Sure, it's fun to theorycraft, but I like playing the game, and no insult to anybody out there, I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. And I run Honor, and I even make videos from the standardized like Honor rule set, because a lot of things change in Honor mode. For those who aren't aware, just to be brief about it, there's a lot of rules different from Tactician and the other difficulties, and the single save is locked in, and we just have to play with what's there and how the devs seem to rebalance or what they feel is balanced in the game. It's not like it's too difficult, but I just really think this makes the game the most fun and satisfying to play and eventually beat if you can beat it, right? So if we run these 4 subclasses, I think it's really important to give a kind of metric as where do they stand in terms of like gameplay, play style, versatility, all that fun stuff. We'll get into it. I often don't run squid powers. What I'm talking about is the brain powers. You know, like Illithid powers here. Hold on, if I go to Gale, you'll see what I'm talking about. So, you know, like, I usually don't run favorable beginnings, luck of the far realm, ability drain, because, like, I don't know. I just don't run them a lot. But in this case, it's specifically intentional because I want to see these things on their own merits, okay? I don't run exploits glitches. I don't try to get the Deva Mace. I don't try to, you know, skip over certain things. I just try to play the game as close as I can tell that of what it was intended. And if it was something that was definitely patched out or has been attempted to be patched out, I'm probably not even trying to touch it or going out of my way for it, okay? I'm not concerned with the bestest, as I put it. That's not how I rate things. I don't care if it's OP, overpowered, strong. I'm not going to rate it the best subclass ever because it now opens the meta or whatever nonsense. It's not where I'm coming from. In fact, my favorite thing about this game is playing weaker stuff. So does it give me something else other than just the strongest, right? If it's good enough to beat Honor mode, that's great enough. And then, right, I'm biased also because I'm biased, but also I'll try and come out of my habits or my comfort zone to try things, right? I may initially come into something thinking, oh, it's going to be great, and it wasn't. I may come into something with, nah, that sucks, but then I tried it, and I find out, wow, this game has so much variety. How can I ever stop playing it? I love replaying it, and then add in the Honor mode and whatnot, right? So try to slim down and get to the 5 points. Okay, fine, I'll get to it, right? Just so you know, the letter ratings are silly and they're just fun. I don't care for ranking videos. I don't care for ratings. There is no S tier high. A is the highest grade or rating, and plus is just an emphasis on something I felt like I got a lot out of it, okay? Or it just performed so well, or just emphasis. And I don't think anything is so bad that it's a D or F if we're being honest, okay? So go figure. Let's just start with what I do rate the lowest, College of Bard, and let's just get into it. Like I said, sorry, there's not going to be a lot of action here, and these builds are approximations. I'm not here to give you the build information or whatnot. No build time today. I got to get through these, and just so you know, these are approximations because once you beat the game, it's like you can't go back and see what your setups were. So Glamour of Bard, or College of Glamour, this is the new Bard subclass. I always just list the rating. It's C rating, but why? Where am I coming from? Well, what about how did it perform? I mean, it performed well enough. This was very control focused, okay, between maybe not Mantle, Inspiration, this charms things. Go back and watch some of my videos to kind of understand this stuff. But this spell right here, Mantle of Majesty, Command, gives you a bunch of options. You effectively can skip turns. That right there is inherently control focused. It's what the subclass offers and gives, right? I use psychic damage spells and control focus spells. So I had damage with, you know, Dissonant Whispers, for instance, or honestly, my setup could make Vicious Mockery pretty strong with the Potent Robes. But yeah, I had psychic damage, I had control focus, I had a control focus subclass with this, right? And charming with this. So the team basically Mantle just shut things down. Once we got this at level 6, you can shut things down. So it performed great in honor mode, did what I thought it was going to do, affected almost everything, and the team could then just, like, once I told you to say grovel, which puts you prone, right? It was over. Like, the rest of these guys could just beat up on the team. So you got to watch out, though, if this does affect pretty much everything, but not everything can go prone. So this is a wasted turn if you use grovel, by the way, just letting you know. But otherwise, it performed great. So why a C rating, right? Well, let's look at the leveling. When you level this guy up, really all you're doing is you have the base bard kit. So is it really complementing the bard too much? Well, at level 3, you have a new way to use your bardic inspiration, but it seems like from level 3, 4, and then 5, I don't really find this all that useful. So 3, 5 is just inspire. That's all the subclass is giving you, is this new way to use bardic inspiration. And it's effectively just temporary HP because, well, you know, the charm effect doesn't happen unless melee attacks hit you or whoever has the inspire, and that just isn't the case in a practical, like, honor mode run. So it really just effectively was temporary HP in most situations, and there was a ways to, like, abuse, you know, forcing an enemy to use a melee opportunity attack, but I don't know. It's just not as intuitive as it could be. I really wish there was some changes here, but overall in the leveling side of things, it just felt like since bardic inspiration isn't on short rest until level 5, I never really felt like I should sling this out instead of just giving a standard bardic inspiration. So I feel like short rest, inspire at level 5, okay, now I'm tossing it out more for temporary HP, but it's really just something to do with my bonus action that didn't feel all that impactful. But 6 is where we change gears and we go from, like, doing nothing with this subclass and then having a lot of power and control. And you say, oh, that's good, right? Well, okay, at 6 onward I get this, and it doesn't get really any better, except for, like, it's operating off of your spell save DC. It'll automatically go off if you charm somebody, but that's not that easy. With charm person only affects humanoids, and this doesn't really work the way I was hoping for. So it was really like onward. 6 onward is powerful because of course I have hold person at this point. I'm getting closer to getting hold monster once I have that and dominate and all this stuff. But then these are concentration spells, so it's like, well, you've tossed these out if you're not using this, because really this is your best control option. And 6 onward does, like, upgrade the bardic inspiration, charm, and the temporary HP, right? And you do get the mantle command here, but then, like, that's really it. Maybe at level 11 you do get more targets, you can use the inspiration, more temporary HP. This goes up to 11 at, you know, at level 10 or something, this goes up to a level or like 11 temporary HP. But yeah, it's really like a 180 progression is all I'm getting at. It just feels like nothing until level 6, and then 6 onward is virtually nothing added because you already have the most powerful thing, or really the not just the most powerful thing, this is like the only other thing you really get here, right? So it's basically 6 or bust, right? I'm only really getting better as a bard, not a college of glamour, and that's what's really frustrating about it. Now, I talked a lot about Mantle of Majesty in dedicated videos, so I'm gonna kind of skip over some of the finer details there, but if I'm talking about versatility, not really. This is why I personally don't like this subclass. I went in with a really high expectation, or not high expectation, but positive expectations. Man, wouldn't it be cool if I could use this to charm people, force them to get charmed, abusing the opportunity attacks, and, you know, like, it just never really turned out what I thought it was going to be. Because if I could combo the charm from this, which charms almost anything, undead, I think, not undead, but like things you wouldn't normally be able to charm with charm person, then once they're charmed, you automatically get the command spell, and that would be cool, except, like, okay, not really. Like, the kit here is, it's all right there in front of you, so it complements the bard well enough. You can get enough other control spells, or you can do competent enough damage with these psychic spells, the vicious mockery and dissonant whispers. You can double psychic damage, so it's not like psychic damage is really hard to use, so you're not really sacrificing anything, but you really have to go into charisma. Maybe you're saying, well, duh, I'm going charisma. You're a charisma caster. I know, but, like, there's other ways to play the class with the other subclasses. There's other ways to play other classes that don't have to be all one note, right? And you don't really have to sacrifice or change your build or anything. It's like you can do fine enough with damage and control and some support utility spells and whatnot, but then there's no need to focus in on any of that. I'm pretty good jack of all trades with a huge expertise or you know, mastery over controlling people, but then there belies the problem. You use your inspire and command on bonus action. So I mean, it's cool that there's always something to do with your bonus action, but like once you're using this, you can't concentrate on anything else, so your other control spells are out of this. I don't know. Let's just move on to multi-classing if I think there's anything there. Well, sure. But like, it's literally 6 or bust. I don't see why you would multi-class, and I could be wrong, first and foremost, but I don't see why you would multi-class into this until level 5, because this, you don't get Bardic Inspiration on short rest until 5, okay? And you might as well push it to 6 to get this ultimate powerful command control spell. This literally works on everybody. This literally, no matter what option you choose, if it goes off, they skip that turn. And I can't stress how good that is, but I'm trying to, you know, focus overall, and that's the problem. Like, the subclass is almost entirely this one move at level 6, and that's it. So like, start a bard, in my opinion, get up to level 6, get this, and now just move into something else to just to have something else that the build will do, because it's literally, this is what your bonus action should do. And we'll talk about this in a moment because it's long rest, but maybe you could go into Thief, because this is concentrating on the ability to cast commands, right? It's just a bonus action. Then you get this on concentration. As long as you hold concentration, you can use your bonus actions to just keep casting commands. So with 2 bonus actions from Thief, this could be really cool. Maybe Arcane Archer, beguiling arrows with your action. So I shoot an arrow. I don't even have an arrow. So you shoot an arrow with Arcane Archer arrows, and then you they're charmed now, so then you automatically fail the command and you can control them. Maybe like an enchanter, wizard or something. I don't know. I'm not all that excited about thinking about it, because it's just basically like, sure, go 6 levels into this and find some way to make it more creative and fun, because it's too all or nothing. It's just such a weird thing. So let's just get into anything else I want to say. Maybe it is a first poor impression, and I have to say that I went into this expecting, like, here's the combo, this is going to be so cool, I'm going to champion this, you guys just don't get it, and I'm the one with pie on my face, because this really isn't that useful. The charm effect really isn't that consistent, even when you try to abuse it. And then there is the fact that people are arguing this should be on short rest, and I'll talk about that, but like, this is the subclass, this one move, and you have to get 6 levels into it, and there's really no, this doesn't get stronger or weaker or whatever, you just get it, right? Okay, so I thought the charm and command would be a fun combo. It really wasn't in practicality, through honor mode at least. Just get high spell save DC, and that's the best way to use this. If I was hitting like 23 spell save DC and I had mental fatigue from dropping like Vicious Mockery, you can get mental fatigue with this and this, doing psychic damage. So just this one cantrip on your action is already the perfect complement to Mantle Majesty, in my opinion, because like, you're doing psychic damage and you're dropping their wisdom saving throw, and if they don't have a good wisdom saving throw and you have a huge spell save, right, you will just always land this, right? So at that point, most targets, you can just tell them to grovel. Now they're prone, now your team beats up on them. Okay, it's just too good. So if you have good enough spell save DC, you know what you're actually doing. It's just too good. It's too good. Is that a good problem to have? Kind of. But not really, not for me. It's just boring to me. I just don't care for my build starts at level 6 or my subclass starts at level 6. Great, what does it do after that? I don't know. I already have the ultimate thing you get out of this. Cool. And that's not an interesting subclass to me, at least not in regards to Mantle of Majesty. Nor do I feel like I progress smoothly, like it adds anything to Bard. Bard's probably the perfect class to have this on, with Vicious Mockery, Dissonant Whispers, the other control spells. Really doesn't need much to complement it anyway, but then what can I do with it? Multi-class, or should I replay 12 levels? No, you should just play it once and just see how stupid this is, and I'm going to give you a little trick with it. So sure, it's strong. There's a case to just give the players what they want, which is the short rest argument. Why is this on long rest? Because it's absurdly powerful. Go watch the streams. I'm sorry I don't have clips. I just want to talk through this and just get my thoughts out there, but this is just absurdly strong. And I'm going to give you the trick. There's 2 of them. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to let it out there. I'm going to give you the legit trick, which is just long rest, okay? If you just went to camp, right? If you just went to camp and long rested, Okay, you're not going to get your spell slots back, but you would get this back on long rest. And bada bing, bada boom. Once you charm them, they're done, but if your spell save's high enough, you can make them grovel. So you could literally have this for almost every fight, major fight or encounter you really want to. It's just, you're the one choosing the subclass. Don't blame me that you don't want to use a very easy, legit trick to just long rest, okay? But if it's going to be such a waste of time to just essentially short rest by using cheap long rest, using no camp supplies, the devs should just make it short rest if this is how it's going to be. If this is what all this subclass really is, and people just want to use this OP powerful spell to command and basically tell their opponent, no, you don't get a turn, I win, then just make it short rest. Funny enough that I've turned 180 on this, but not for the same reasons. I think everybody should just get what they want. Now, there is a trick. If you watch the streams, you can find out how I actually got this thing on every major fight in Act 3. We abuse the crap out of it, so it really doesn't matter, though. Whatever they end up doing, it doesn't really change the overall problems I have with it. Hey, I do like the overall glow, though. This is pretty cool. Look, everybody's glamorous now. So I like that animation, and I like the cool glow on this. So that's cool. It's going to be great in photo mode. But yeah, it's a one-note subclass, and I really don't want to keep harping on the points. Maybe it deserves to be a B rating because it is super strong. I personally just don't like it, and that's kind of a bummer. So let's move on to something I want to glaze. I've been glazing. I've made videos about it. I loved it. It turned out the way I thought. A wizard, the Bladesinger. I can't stress enough in this video, this little talk right here is not going to stress why I gave it an A+ rating, but I'll try my best. The honor performance did great. It was a spell wheel dual wielder. It was the first idea I really wanted to try, trying to balance between going mostly into, like, you know, physical stats with weapons and using the intelligence and the spell casting to really enhance that, because that's what I wanted to emphasize on stream. Does it work? And if it does, do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see why I'm glazing it? Because okay, even though Booming Blade got nerfed to once per turn, I did get a chance, sorry. So, yeah, hopefully they revert this or change this to like once per action, but I'm not here to talk about that. Even with this nerf, once per action, I felt powerful. I did even a dual wielder build just to show it's possible. I took 2 versatile longswords. You're allowed this blade song with 2 versatile or 2 longswords like this, so there's no issues there. Tried to show some versatility between, yeah, you could focus in on mostly this stat and use your intelligence. What? A wizard that's not like all in on int and stuff? Like, this is a really cool subclass, so it performed exactly like I thought. There's the Falar Alluve. This was awesome. This is a really great weapon to incorporate it because of the Shriek ability, right? And this worked out just fine. It was nice to use Falar Alluve, you know, the normal way for once, as a weapon, plus its cool little ability on the front lines and whatnot, lowering enemy attacks, you know, lowering saving throws. So it was really awesome to use this on this, you know, subclass, and it was just still really strong. Acuity worked really well with the thunder damage, the infusion ring here, the booming blade, the Falar Alluve thunder damage. So, you know, building up Acuity is a great strategy for this, but I digress. Acuity worked well through my run. Didn't take long to get momentum either. We'll talk about that in leveling. It was great at dishing out damage. Honestly, if there's one problem I had all game long is accuracy, but that's why I was happy to have the paladin around when we talk about him. And the high armor class and saving throws, you know, from Blade Song, if you're not familiar with it, add some constitution saving throws, add some armor class. This is the bread and butter of what this was. It enables a really powerful combo with haste. You know, this worked out great thanks to Blade Song's unique ability at level 2. I lost concentration a few times. It could be just more user error, me getting excited and giddy and not having the best team comp, or maybe, you know, ultimate setup for this, but I mean, it worked. When it worked, it felt powerful. I was running around beating the crap out of it. Easy to move around between the added movement of this plus haste plus Misty Step. There really isn't a better use on my build to use level 2 spell slots, and we'll talk about that, right? So I just had tools for the job too. I mean, that's what you get with a wizard. So when you add in an extra attack on your main attack, right? When you have haste and Blade Song for concentration on haste and some other really powerful stuff like Arcane Lock screws up fights big time. You have powerful damaging spells like Disintegrate. I mean, you could learn anything you want, so you always have a tool for the job. You can bring your elemental, counterspell. Being a fighter martial, kind of whatever weapon fighter with counterspell all the way up to 6 levels is extremely powerful, and you get this at level like 5 if you want it. Haste, yeah, we'll talk about it. Hold up. So I got to use all slot levels in different ways. I felt like there was a reason I could put all of these to good use, being a full caster and whatnot, while being a weapon fighter. And I didn't really use the new climax. For those who don't know, when you're in Bladesong, you get the Bladesong climax. I still have to test this thing, but I was not like, I was interested in it, but I just wasn't going for it at all, even trying to understand it too much. We'll play around with this thing, and that gives it even more replay value. But leveling. So 2 songs. You get 2 of these songs for just dipping into the subclass. So when you're just naturally leveling, you get 2 blade songs to use per long rest. Okay. Now, that's actually really great, because even though I don't get haste yet, something really important was I did use Expeditious Retreat. I was able to focus on it or get some extra armor class and concentration to not drop this. And what this does is makes you be able to dash on your bonus action, so you can just focus on attacking with your action or casting a cantrip. So even in the early levels, I had something cool to concentrate that Bladesong was helping me out with, right? And there isn't really a lot of like crazy gear for cloth, but you know, it was enough to just go running around. I think everybody really liked this thing at level 2 and 3, although it didn't feel really strong until haste at level 5, because haste, even though you don't get your extra attack, if you just haste, you get another action, and so you can swing twice with your weapon. Okay, I don't think I was dual wielding at that point, so it was really just this. So I would like Booming Blade. You can only do that once per turn now, but back then I was like swinging 2 Booming Blades at level 5, no problem. And because you have the Bladesong charges, I think like 3 Bladesong charges at this point, I had like an equal amount of times that I could use Bladesong and haste, especially with some tricks with the amulets, getting spell slots back. But all I'm saying is, even at level 5, you already feel like a fighter or a paladin or a ranger. You have another extra attack if you're willing to go into like Bladesong haste. But what else am I going to use it for? And then I have insane armor class and movement, right? You know, all while being level 5. So you're just zipping around the battlefield at level 5, just beating people up with Booming Blade, extra attacks, and Rhapsody for me, right? Level 6 really kicks things off, though, because now you have the best of both worlds. You are full-on martial with double attacks. You have haste song, combo, and then you do have a bunch of other stuff. And at level 3 and onward, you are going to get some really powerful spells. Instead of hasting, you could go slow. You could counterspell some stuff. You could focus on, you know, the right tools for the job with Sleet Storm, or even lock a door or set up some Cloud of Daggers. It's all there, and it only gets better progressing all the way up to level 10. And by level 10, because I get Song of Defense, I don't have it here, but when you're in Bladesong, right, you can use Song of Defense, which allows you to use your spell slots in a new way. You can literally mitigate damage based on the spell slot level you burn. So by level 10, I had something to do with every single spell slot. I had so much mobility. I ran around. It was crazy fun. And we even had our buddy Nibbles joining the fight, you know, just for funsies. But yeah, how could I forget Nibbles, right? So, I mean, I just had tons of stuff I could be doing, and this was just one way to play the character, right? So versatility, it's the best kind. It's easy to set up, in my opinion. Honestly, if you really was confused about going into Wizard and you don't really like the class, I'd implore you to play this anyway, because you could just go like I did, Dexterity, and just drop the whole Intelligence thing. At that point, Intelligence is just maybe Arcane Synergy damage, or maybe more spell slot or prepared spells. But really, you can just forget all about spellcasting, other than enhancing yourself with haste, shutting down other spells as like an anti-mage fighter, or just zipping around with Misty Step, or just setting up Cloud of Daggers, because it requires like no real intelligence to use one way or another. Shield protects you with level 1 spells. You see what I'm talking about? This is why I really rate this so much, because like, if you don't want to play a wizard, this is still a great subclass for you as a fighter, as a weapon fighter, running around swinging swords and whatnot, right? But there's some really advanced setups here thanks to Acuity. This is such a great subclass to use. Acuity, beat people up with your weapon attacks, and then you get more and more spell save DC, and you can eventually pop off a very reliable Disintegrate, or maybe a Chain Lightning. Okay, and then there's just the sky's the limit. We haven't even talked about multi-classes, so it really complements the class well, not only because you have this powerful wizard feature of learning new spells and swapping them on the fly and whatnot, but also like you have things you can do with your spell slots you know, and they progress and you just get more and more powerful as you level up. There's a real power fantasy of leveling up and scaling up, right? And it is thanks to the wizard, but it's also thanks to the subclass complementing the wizard. So you can go all in with wizard, with a wizard that just uses swords, right? Use acuity or just get flat out bonuses to, you know, spell save DC. Raise this higher with, you know, maybe a battle mage elixir, so you can just pop off spells. You get to swap between, oh, I'm good at fighting with weapons, or I'm good at casting with cantrips, or, you know, using some control spells like blindness. But you could maybe be a cantrip focused fighter, or you could just go all in on the fighter. Like I said, literally 10 int would be enough. Spell slots could be used for a variety of utility. Let me just go over one. So level 1, you could go shield on reaction, right? You're not casting spells, you're just using these for like keeping your butt alive, right? So level 1 could be devoted to shields for the most part. Level 2s could be devoted to zipping around with Misty Step and teleportation, and you already have crazy movement with level 3 haste, extra action, which means extra attacks or extra spell casting, extra cantrip casting. There's really nothing like that at level 5, with Blade Song keeping you going, extra movement, more likelihood to not lose concentration. At levels 4, 5, and 6, you can cast some really powerful spells, but if you don't want to do any of that, you can just have counter spells, Song of Defense at level 10, keeping you alive. And you could just, you're always going to have use for your spell slots, even if you're not even focused on being a wizard, just being a weapon fighter, right? So gearing only opens up more possibilities. I made an hour-long video about Glaze Slinger over here, even before the patch came out, even before I tried this. Ideas were wild, and it's good to see that the potential is there, and there's even more stuff, maybe depending on the climax ability. I just really have to test this, okay? So just in a real honor mode game, this seems like what I wanted. But what about multi-classing? I'm not going to focus on this too much because I could just be here all day. There's probably a lot. Just keep in mind with your Blade Song, you get this at level 2. That's a really powerful level 2 dip, right? Because you're going to get this, helps with armor class and concentration, but it is limited based on light armor or lower, and then what weapons you're using. So just keep that in mind. Plus, do you really need it for this multi-class you're doing? Remember, you are a wizard, and the power of bringing wizard into your multi-class is that you can learn scrolls and utility spells and all that stuff, right? Or scrolls and spells. But would it be practical is what I'm saying, right? So just think about it, but it probably is a very powerful level 2 dip because of those two features, the song and the spell learning. But remember, Song gets stronger the more you go into this class and subclass because it's based on your wizard level proficiency. These bonuses are actually based on proficiency according to your wizard level, not your overall proficiency character level, right? So if you were, say, level 8 wizard, but then level 4 something else, you would actually only get a +3 proficiency to the Blade Song bonuses, okay? So just keep that in mind. And plus you're getting more charges the more you go into this subclass class, right? And Song of Defense is available at level 10, so it literally does get better the more you go into this, but I'm interested to see what people are going to do with it. You know, I'm more excited about what you could do with just a pure wizard, though. I gotta be honest. Okay. So, anything else to be said? Oh god, clearly I'm glazing this thing. It's what I thought it was going to be, though. That's the most important thing. It really does. These videos that I've been putting out saying, oh, why it's the best or why it's so exciting or whatever, it is what I thought. The potential is there. Kind of sucks about the Booming Blade nerf, but again, who cares if this remains the way it is? Once per action, that's cool. It still works on this build incredibly well, or this subclass incredibly well. I think it's the most fun going for weapons first and then being a wizard. I gotta be honest, but you could reverse that and just be more of a wizard using intelligence spells and then being able to like attack with weapons when you have nothing better to do. But mixing the two is probably really the most optimal way. Like I said, acuity, I think if you like and understand how to use acuity, this is really gonna be the best thing you can throw on this, but you don't have to build it that way. Blade Song also takes no action, which really alleviates the entry to using this subclass, to making it super simple. There is no action or bonus action cost, so I just wanted to note that. It makes it incredibly easy to just pop off this combo or anything else you could think this could be good with, right? There's just way too many ideas with this, so we'll stop it there. I really love reutilizing spell slots in a powerful way. Like I said, instead of just using this for spell casting, you get that Song of Defense, and now you can mitigate damage. That's a really cool feature to me, and this subclass really highlights the whole enhancement idea of using spells that have nothing to do with, you know, accuracy or spell save DC. So I feel it's very, very powerful, and I'm just going to keep glazing it. So it's easy Easy way to use it is just going into it with a fighter that enhances themselves with Blade Song, Haste, Misty Step, and so on and so forth. But there's going to clearly be some really advanced multi-classing or concepts, pure classing, whatever. So I'm excited for that, and that's why I give it a really high rating. It works the way you think it does, and then probably beyond that, because wizards are so intelligent and advanced now. But the visual's also really cool, just to show it off. Bladesinger. All right, so the Bladesinger was basically what chat called it. Might have had something to do with me. All right, so getting into Oath of the Crown. This is the new paladin. I give it an A rating because of a lot of factors. Why not A+? Well, like I said, A+ is just if it's got that emphasis. A rating still is the highest rating I would give something, because in honor performance, it didn't break Oath. I was a good guy, to be fair. I knew what I was kind of getting into. I kind of brushed up on, maybe you should brush up on the Oath if it's going to break, especially in honor mode where you know, can't exactly reload. Whoopsies, you know. But I never broke it. And I just followed some guidelines. I don't think the description really helps. I think going on BG3 Wiki helps. So, but none of those things got in the way. There really wasn't many things that could possibly break my Oath. And that's great, because I was mostly just down with playing a normal, very good guy smiter, I guess, okay? But I was indeed a smiter. We just did a video about level 7 smites, cheeky video about, you know, comboing some pretty big hits with blinding smite into a divine smite, and I played that. So, you know, go watch that video, but I literally played that if you want to see how to level one, play it all the way through. We smited all game. I was pretty sturdy. A little rough start, but overall I was sturdy. I aided allies in attacking. Remember how I said the Bladesinger? I really wanted more accuracy, and I'm glad I went for that dex focus. But really, early on, mid-game, and even later, having this ability, Righteous Clarity, to add to attack rolls was really awesome. Okay? I saved allies on a few occasions with my reaction ability. Sometimes I was usually bros with the Bladesinger, right? We were both side by side, keeping him safe, but also giving the Divine Allegiance, you know, taking hits for him. This really did work out the way I wanted to, and I wasn't even trying. I was just always like trying to stay near Fuzzalump to give him the aura benefits for concentration down here, or protection. And so that really complements the class, right? And it was functionally working in honor mode, okay? Aura helping team concentration was great. Especially Fuzzalump. So he had not only his Blade Song, but he had my backup at level, I think 6 is when you get the aura. So that was awesome. Really felt like a team player, even though I was fighting more of like being more of a selfish smiter, damage dealer, burst guy, right? So sometimes I drew attention in fights. There was an early game encounter that I used Champions Challenge to some good effect, but it really highlighted that you really need some spell save DC. Later on, when I had more charisma and some, you know, the team was lowering saving throws, this could be used, thrown out there, because I didn't feel like I needed Righteous Clarity, had enough accuracy on all my guys. I will say though, I didn't really heal much with Turn the Tide. I think I used it twice the whole run, but I do really like this, and I did obviously love this. And so using it was pretty effective in honor mode, and I did big damage. Subclass did not get in the way, probably complimented me with Righteous Clarity, or just bringing things closer to me so I can smite them. So it definitely performed well in honor mode, obviously. But leveling, so it was early. I was expecting this. This is kind of rough early on. You know, you don't really get to smite a lot, but then again, smiting early game is bigger damage with respect to lower HP pools. But yeah, we're not really here to talk about smiting. I will just say, in respects to the subclass, it kind of took a while to get off the ground, but that's not really fair, and I'll tell you why. Because it did get some use out of command, like I said earlier. Clarity I used all game, so that alone was already something really good that I got at level 2, and onward was great all game. This gets better with your proficiency, right? You're giving more accuracy based on this, and you don't have to use it on you. You could use it on Fuzzalump or somebody else. It affects attack rolls, so that could affect spell cantrips and whatnot, you know, not just you know, bows and arrows and whatnot. But yeah, it picked up definitely around Act 2, where I had more gear. The funny thing is, I didn't go for like a radiant orbs or reverb set on this guy. I just went for like pure on like hitting really hard with a big weapon and smiting things with that combo. Okay, but here's the thing, it became more powerful smiter mid-game and onwards, and mid-onwards I got more use out of the different channel oaths. I would say between Clarity and Champion, and the fact that Clarity we could use on me or somebody else. I was using it initially to help out Fuzzalump, and then later on when he was good, I used it on myself. so it never was useless. I always had something to do with my channel oath, which is really big to me, right? But I did have options, right? If I really needed to toss out the heal, could have had it. Or if I went into a battle knowing like, okay, if I could get some things to attract attention, or in like a pinch, bring everybody closer to me so that it's, you know, stays off of Fuzzalump or my range stuff, right? And that's really cool, because if we talk about versatility, even though I didn't play with a focus on these things, I feel there's a really good amount of versatility way before multiclassing, right? This complements the class really well with what's already there between, like, you know, spells you normally get like Bless, or like, you know, the lay on hands stuff, the healing, eventually Warden, Vitality, you know, protection from evil. You have a good kit there, even when you're not talking about smiting on Paladin. It just doesn't feel like you're not really encouraged by your subclass sometimes to, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like this is the best subclass that complements the other tools on a Paladin and draws that out and says, well, maybe I don't even want to smite, right? So I regrettably made a smite character. Not really. I had the smite bug. I had tons of fun with it. You know, you can make a pure smiter with a pure Paladin. It's amazing. But anyway, smite works here with clarity, and it's nice, but clarity is also really awesome for giving you options if you want to be selfish with it, improve your accuracy, or give a teammate some accuracy. And I said in a video about this, you know, covering the previewing this or breaking it down, I said it's probably going to be really good to be a bro, because you can take hits for your team, right? And you have those auras that are already there on the normal Paladin kit, and then you can get like this cool bonus healing option, or, you know, draw attention to yourself. So it doesn't need to be focused all on smites. In fact, you could easily make a half caster pure Paladin that just focuses on maybe control, using like, you now have compelled to duel and command just automatically prepared at will, right? So you don't have to like swap it out. But you also now have Champion's Challenge. So you could make like, think about like maybe a tank type of character, which isn't normally something you would build in Baldur's Gate 3, in my opinion. So like a tank that controls with command, duel, challenge, and keeps them slow and taking damage with Spirit Guardians later on. I want to build something like that. You could easily do something like that with Radiant Orb set or Reverb set, and you get the double attack, right? Then you have like a combat medic, because again, double attack at level 5, but you could have easily focused on your lay on hands charges, using your bonus action, turn the tide to heal in an area like that, you know, heal the whole team. And then you have like Revivify, Lesser Restoration, but really like Warden of Vitality. So you get like these bonus actions start turning into heals, and if you need a big heal with your whole team, you can use this. This scales up with your, you know, character or whatnot. So yeah, if I would have went this way, I could be attacking with my main attack, but I can also be healing or supporting, helping the team out. Or I could be a real control freak myself, like the Glamour Bard, or even synergize really well with the Glamour Bard. I really feel like I could have done this in this playthrough, and then had like amazing synergy with Glamour's control as well, right? So cool ways to even just replay like a pure Paladin. So if we talk about multi-classing, I can see easily people picking up 2 levels, because you get Divine Smite for their multi-class, and now you have this really good Righteous Clarity. And I'll feel a little sad that that's all anyone thinks the subclass is, because if you go level 3, you can even build off of maybe the healing support of, you know, Turn the Tide, or the control support of Champion's Challenge. This level 3 might be the way you have to, you know, make a tank character, like an actual tank character, because when this lands, like, they come after you, bro, to a detriment. It's hilarious. I almost wish I was building with a shield and high charisma, just to be like, everybody look at me, because it works. And then you can start using, this doesn't use spell slots, by the way, so then you can start using your spell slots for other control options, right? Divine Favor, maybe with meta magic. Yeah, so you get Divine Favor. That's another cool little idea here. Where is it? Divine Favor is a spell you just get in your spell list. I think you have to put it on. Yeah, you have to choose it. So Divine Favor gives you a little bit of radiant damage, but for a very piddling 3 turns. So maybe if you go Sorcerer, you can make this last to 6 turns instead with extended. Maybe, you know, be a Divine Fighter, Sorcerer, something like that. Just food for thought. You get it with this other stuff. So then you're getting extra attack at level 5, but you're also getting certain things like Warding Bond and Spiritual Weapon. I'm not big on Spiritual Weapon, but I know people love Warding Bond, so wherever Warding Bond is, there it is. So yeah, you could really share the burden as you know, Oath of the Crown the whole identity of like sharing a burden, being there for your allies. You can now, you know, mitigate the damage they're taking, take that on, and you can even go further beyond with level 7 Divine Allegiance in combo with that Warding Bond. Very interesting idea to combo this level 5 extra attack, Warding Bond, and Allegiance at 7, and then go into something else. And then level 9, think about like Spirit Guardians. This is like the only other way to get Spirit Guardians. It comes in pretty late, but like, okay, you do get Warden Vitality here. Just things to note. I don't have any ideas on top of my head, but like I said, maybe you're going for like a battle medic or something like that, right? 5, anything to be said? Okay, so I want to replay this already, and this is why I'm rating it so high, if it's making me want to replay. And I was thinking of like, man, I got a little taste of this. This is cool. Or, hey, what if you did make like a battle medic? This is like an actual good kit or subclass to try and build off of that idea. I think it could work with lay on hands and this and that. I'm not big on like, oh, just dedicated healer, but that's great because you're not a dedicated healer. You're a fighter who can also focus in on that idea of like helping the team with heals when they need a pinch, because it's mostly on the bonus action, right? With Warden of Vitality or tossing this thing out. But yeah, we'll see. Obviously, you can always just throw potions too. So I just like half-caster for some reason. I don't know why. I think half-casters are really cool. Paladin doesn't always seem like a half-caster. They just seem like a smiter and some little flavors in there. This feels like a half-caster. I can just totally ignore the smite. Maybe I'm wrong about the other oaths, but this is just how I feel. And this really highlighted that for me. And I think this is really fits I think it really fits that half-caster thing while also fitting its theme, right? And it has some really clear focuses to go after that I think are highlighted right here in the Oath channel bonus action things. And so I'll just get over it. The Oath wasn't annoying either, which I got a comment. In Honor mode, you can't change things. And yeah, sure, you can buy your Oath back, but that's really against the whole point of having an Oath. You get to integrate RP with gameplay, right? Okay, so probably my favorite Paladin overall is how it really leaves me with an impression. And I do want to replay it full 12 levels doing something else and seeing if that works, because I think it will. Now, Swarmkeeper, oh boy, why we saved the best for last. What? Bladesinger? Right? Wasn't Bladesinger? Okay, so let's hop over this. Now, I was playing on Lae'zel, so this is the only misrepresentative here. To make things short and sweet, because there's really not too much I need to talk about with this, I used the Jolt Shooter. The moment I saw Larian was adding different swarm types and said Jellyfish was one of them with lightning damage, Jolt Shooter build. I want to do a Jolt Shooter, typical Ranger, bow user, sure, fine, but I knew it was going to be powerful. Oh boy, was it powerful. A+ rating. Okay, this is the new Ranger subclass. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, in Honor mode, I went with the lightning damage focus. I even went with reverb gear, if you know what that is. You know, lowering saving throws and, you know, potentially causing people to go prone. Risky ring to just always land my shots. Eventually raising my DC a little bit, but we'll talk about that. But like, yeah, dexterity builds are crazy because of the armor class, the initiative, the range damage, everything. Then you add in like this reverb gear and this lightning focus. Oh boy, it was good all game. And it was good all game because of the subclass. The reaction attacks were really popping off. I feel bad that I didn't really use the other options, but we're going to talk about that because this alone on this build was just like, dang, this is good. This gets a little more damage on your first hit once per turn. You can use these 3 actions. I would typically use my bonus lightning damage, and it got even more bonus lightning damage because I would cast Hunter's Mark, and then this would get a little rider off of the Hunter's Mark as well. It's a little treat. It's a little like a feat when you have Hunter's Mark. The bonus damage from the Swarm will do even more damage to that Hunter's Mark target. That just worked. It just worked, and it was good all game, and it was super stupidly powerful early on. It blew everybody away, myself included. Later on, though, as you evolve, progress, there was good mobility, some great utility spell options. Not, you know, I mean, decent on Ranger, right? Adds like 1 or 2 to the mix, like Mage Hand and Web. But yeah, later on, the Shock and Disarm was not really focused on throughout the playthrough, and it wasn't all that useful, but I could see a more emphasis on that, and I'll get into what I mean by that, because level 3 kicks off with a bang. You get 3 options per turn. Of course, I am talking about these reactions. Funny enough, I was using this, but to be honest, having a free teleport is always good. More damage is always good. And then if you want to focus on shocking your target, or based on the swarm, these could be different things like blinding with the moths or pushing with the bees, right? So among those different options, right, you have you kick off with those different options just Doesn't matter what swarm you choose. Right there, every turn you have 3 extra things you can do, all thanks to the subclass. So it really adds into the class already. Now the Hunter's Mark adds really good damage, especially early. I'm very surprised because I never really bothered to build with Hunter's Mark in mind, and it was so stupidly easy to go with this and was so stupidly effective. #1 recommendation for your first time playing Swarmkeeper, because you're probably going to play it 2 or 3 more times. Now, web utility at 5 was pretty cool. We did get to use it in an early game, like Act 1.5 fight with the robot. And then later on some other occasions, but it's not like the craziest spell. It's just fun. If you never used web before, it's actually pretty good utility. Okay, especially on a half caster, you don't have that many options. But spike growth is sometimes better than web, but at least you have options, right? Now, Writhing Tide is insane. You can just like fly around on things like that for 10 turns, no concentration. Just a bonus action for 10 turns like this. This is absolutely wild. So free mobility, and remember, when you shoot somebody, you get the reaction to teleport as well, right? So if you didn't teleport that turn, you can also just use your bonus action to fly around. That is exclusive to level 7 and onward though. But you get like 3 charges of this, and eventually 4 charges of this. Like, that's insane. Like, oh my god, flying is like really good in this game. Movement, running is very good in this game, especially when it doesn't take away from movement. Apparently, as far as I know, this is extra bonus 30 feet of extra movement, and you're flying, so nothing's going to get in the way. Difficult terrain's not going to stop you. It's really crazy. Okay, 11 was not really a crazy for my setup, but I think it could be very impactful. But it was just strong overall game. I know we were laughing like maybe it'll fall off, and I was like, I don't know if it's going to fall off. This is really good right off the bat. It's simple, it works, and then there's the versatility. So it's the best kind. There could be easy setups and there could be advanced setups. Just at the beginning, you already have some swarm choices that could really impact setups because of the damage types, right? Obviously, I went with the jellyfish, so that's lightning damage, but just from the damage alone, the bees do piercing damage instead of lightning, and the moths do psychic damage, which remember could be doubled up. Obviously, lightning damage could have been doubled up. This could have been even stupidly stronger if I put this on a team that would, constantly give targets the wet condition, doubling the lightning damage. I didn't even feel like I needed that. I was just having already so much fun, quote-unquote, range smiting with this and the Hunter's Mark bonus damage, okay? And especially with a reverb set and all this other nonsense. So swarm choices could really change that, though, because I knew I could play with reverb and some double damage on lightning and whatnot, but you could go with psychic damage, you can go with piercing damage, and then there's the special abilities, like this causes a shock and eventually a shock disarm. Moth can blind and slow, and bees can push and possibly cause prone. So that really changes the way you think about what swarm you're going to use right at level 3, right? So that's awesome versatility, different replay value right there, or even multi-classing later, right? And then there's the reaction choices really can be focused on. So maybe you really don't want so much the damage. Maybe you really want the teleport feature. So once per turn, when you attack somebody, you can teleport. Gives you mad mobility. Or maybe you're building wisdom to get these shocks or pushes or whatever off, blinding them, right, with the moth swarm. So you could really build for that, or just keep it simple like I did and go more for damage and using gear that enhances that. Wisdom could be totally ignored or used to enhance it. And what I mean by that is if you ignore wisdom and just go for damage, like I said, or if you use wisdom on your setup, right, if you have a decent enough wisdom and ways to push it up or use acuity, you can get really reliable effects to enhance, So the way you build your character is the best kind of variety. You can keep it dumb simple and just be a ranged shooter and make something stupidly powerful. But if you want to replay the subclass or multi-class it, you can incorporate that wisdom that affects those cool special swarm moves, right? And I played it ranged, but now I feel like, dang, I want to replay it as a melee, because if you hit something as a melee, you could smite them, quote unquote, or you could teleport around, or you could blind somebody with the moths. I really have thought about how I want to replay this. I love it. So there's a lot of utility tools that are very powerful, between the teleportation, the flying, free flying, and then the shocking or disarming or whatnot. Anything would love free movement, by the way. Any build would love free movement. So if you can stuff 3 levels in, consider that you're going to get free teleportation. If you want to make something with 7 levels, consider that you get free flying movement. movement, and 11 could be the focus of a build because some of the level 11 boosts are very powerful. You get 2 extra bonus armor class for teleporting. You get a little more damage, but that's not that impactful. And then instead of shocking, you now shock and disarm, and the other 2 swarms have something similar to an increase to that, right? So with multi-classing, just right out the gate, super simple. You have all 3 options once per turn when attacking. That's super good, no matter what swarm you choose. And then you have to choose a swarm and think about how that's going to interact with things. We've tried silly things already in like testing on stream and the videos, like giant swarm and warlock swarm and caster swarm, and there's so many cool potentials with this alone. Then maybe at 5 you get your extra attack, but you also get the web spell. But I think really you want to go to level 7 to take all of this, and now you can like fly around with your bonus action for 10 turns, no concentration. That's insane. All right, and maybe you want to build something for 11 and you'll use 1 level of something else, but I'm not really sure what just yet. I think people are going to more or less do something like this and forget the rest of the class, which is a bummer because I think there's something really here and maybe even something here. And then of course you just play it 12 levels like I did. Anything else to be said? It's a keeper. I know it's a pun, but it's really good. It's an awesome subclass. It's actually blown me away by my expectations, and the way I rate things is it's just right on mark. Okay, it's impressed me enough that I go A+, right? So progression felt really good. It was simple versus advanced based on how you want to approach it. That should be the best thing you could ever ask for when a subclass adds something new to the game, like the way we're going to see in patch 8. And this is why I rate it so high, because I think anybody is going to find if they give it a chance, they'll be like, wow, this is awesome. And if they really dive into it, they're like, wow, this has some really cool interactions and some powerful combos. Okay. It's going to be fun to test some cool stuff with this. So you want to just go dex or strength, hitting with your weapon, or do you want to add some wisdom in there and try and get those effects off? You do you, right? It's easy to dive into. I want to play it again as a melee with a different swarm, maybe psychic moths, and try and blind and eventually slow people with that level 11. I don't even need multi-classing. I want to play it again already. It's so cool, right? I'm already thinking of really cool multi-class like a psychic smiter and whatever. Spell attack rolls work with the swarm. That means if you wanted to go like an Eldritch Blaster or like a Shocking Grasper, actually Shocking Grasp with like maybe Warcaster reactions, I don't know. There's so many cool ideas, and that they will work as long as it's a attack roll. These reactions will work with even cantrip spells or attack roll spells like Scorching Ray or Ray of Sickness, right? So melee, ranged, or even caster could be utilizing this, even though the ranger itself is more of a weapon user, okay? Crazy utility, absolutely. Free teleportation, having the Writhing Current stuff is so cool. Jolt Shooter was a fantastic, I can't recommend this setup enough. It's really not that hard, guys. You get Jolt Shooter super early, and you just build dexterity, maybe get some Arcane Synergy helmet in there, and use some reverb set. Dude, it was stupidly good. It was so much fun. That I can't stress enough. Hunter's Mark makes it even stronger, and it's so easy and good to use here. You're going to get a bunch of level 1 spell slots. Just make sure, you know, you don't get hit and lose concentration. But otherwise, it's probably the only time it was really fun to use Hunter's Mark, in my opinion. And MVP for most of the run, just say it, right? I could glaze sing all day, but I really surprised by Swarmkeeper. I was surprised when I previewed it in a video. I'm surprised here now that I played an entire run with it. It's awesome. And everybody called it the ranged smiter. This really was the smiting team. So team gets dubbed the smiting team between Booming Blade, between like the quote unquote smiting with this, okay, the Booming Blader on Bladesinger, and you know, obviously the level 7 smite. And then Halsin was able to just kind of tell somebody, hey, get on the ground, you're dead, we're gonna beat you up with the smiting, okay? So I had a fun run. It kind of you know, a little sour taste with this, but it's still strong, it's good. I just think it's too one note. The rest though really impressed me. I'm very happy with all the subclasses from a personal standpoint, and I'm finally done talking about it. All right, so run 3, just keep things simple. We're doing Warlock Hexblade, we're gonna do the Drunk Monk, Way of the Drunken Fist, the Giant Barbarian, Path of the Giants Barbarian, and the Swashbuckler Rogue. These are the last 4 we got to run to see how well they do, how I rate them, do I like them, do I think they're good, maybe you're gonna love them, just live through it vicariously. All right, I've babbled on enough. If you do want to see how you play these builds, level up, build them, right? Not just talk about them and, you know, blah, blah, blah. I did a playlist for not only run 2, but run 1. You can go in, it's called Only New Subclasses, run 1 and run 2. I've now played 8 new subclasses, so if you want to see them in action, skip around to major fights, go ahead, cool with me. That's why I like live streaming. I'd love to see you in there. Tell me if you won your own golden dice on honor mode, or if you're excited about any of the new subclasses, or you're just interested in testing stuff. Sometimes we do it in, you know, here on honor mode, or just testing stuff live. And I like answering the comments. I know this is a long video, so I'm just going to cut it short now and say thank you so much for watching. The best support was just watching this whole video, but this was really just for those who have been sitting in stream and wondering, hey, how did you feel about these subclasses? I like them. This is what I think is cool. Did you think of this idea? Hey, thank you for your insight. Dude, I can't wait for patch 8, right? And it's so, I'm all very grateful that people want to join in and watch the live stream. So thank you guys. Hopefully, if you hate my opinion, that's cool. I still appreciate you for watching, and we'll talk about member support some other time, because this video is long enough and I really do appreciate you. Go check out the live stream though, and I hope to see you in run 3, because I really like the next group. Oh yeah, they look very fun. All right guys, you have a blessed one, and I'll see you in the next stream or video. Till then, take it easy.